Terrific job. Now, I understand that you were a longtime Sherlock fan, but what was it about this, what is it about this character that you thought, I have just got to bring him into this century?
When you say this century, you mean this century or that century?
This century. Because you've moderned him up a little bit.
Well, I had to give him my spin, I suppose. But yeah, I'm very familiar with the stories. I'm very familiar with what Conan Doyle was influenced by, and I wanted to somehow represent what I believe to be an authentic Sherlock Holmes. Of course, it's quite you can be quite subjective about exactly how that's going to be, how he should be portrayed. But this was the Sherlock Holmes that I imagined even when I was a young lad, and since then I sort of learned about the camera. So with the benefit of both of those things, this was the Sherlock Holmes that I'd like to see.
And then you cast the brilliant Robert Downey Jr., who can basically play, read the phone book and I'd be there. Seriously, this guy is phenomenal. What did you see in him? He's not British. How did you know that he was going to pull it off?
Well, I see the same in Robert Downey that you see in Robert Downey. I think he's truly brilliant, actually, at what he does. And I can't imagine anyone else having played that role. Now he's played that role. Also, he's American. I like the idea of an American playing an Englishman. After all, they're actors. I quite like to see actors act. But he's the right age. He has the right look. He has the right intellect. Robert Downey does a job that I know I can't do. I think he's a true actor, and I love working with people that are very good at what it is that they do. Because sometimes you can't help but think, just move out of the way and I'll show you how to do it. Robert Downey is not one of those guys that you can do that with. Robert Downey is going to say, look, I'm going to show you how to do it, and you go, all right, show me how to do it. So I couldn't think of a more perfect Sherlock Holmes than Robert Downey.
And then your Watson, again, amazing. Jude Law, fantastic chemistry. I've been telling everybody that I think the chemistry between the two of them is better than a lot of male-female people I've seen on screen. Those two were fantastic together. Did you just let them loose?
Well, they first met in this hotel, actually, just over a year ago, and I was like a sort of mother hen trying to put a couple together. It was rather like an arranged marriage, but within 10 seconds you could see that the chemistry had really taken care of itself. And once we transcended that obstacle, then everything else really took care of itself.
Why do Watson and Holmes complement each other? They're so different.
Well, I think it's a bit of yin and yang. It's a bit of black and white, and the fact that they are rather different. One's rational, one's seems to be irrational. But one needs the other to balance the other, and I think we feel that kind of innately and unconsciously, that you need one to balance the other, and one is an extremist, so he needs an anchor in which to orientate himself. But therein lies the rub of genius. It's on that fine edge of badness, and I suppose Watson really represents this side of rationality, where Holmes is almost into the metaphysical world of rationality. Mm-hmm. And the marriage between the two of them is really a symbiotic union.
I love how Robert plays him as just a spoiled little brat, that he's not getting his way when Watson's, hey, I want to go off and get married,
Well, I think one of the endearing things about Sherlock Holmes is he's deeply flawed. He's rather arrogant. He's rather childish. And I think I think we can all sort of relate to aspects of Sherlock Holmes because of that. But at the same time, he's a genius. So I think there's a bit of Sherlock Holmes in all of us, right?
Oh yeah. Now, is it true that you had a little nickname for Jude on the set?
Well, it wasn't actually my nick. I didn't come up with this, but it didn't take long before he got coined Hodson as opposed to Watson. And then last night, Jude said he fancied himself as a bit more of a Hodson than he did a Potson. And previously, Watson had always been represented as this rather rotund, bumbling character. It's kind of subservient to Holmes's intellect and general capacity for doing brilliant things. But I always thought that was an unfair representation. And I like to see them as more of a sort of Butch and Sundance as opposed to a fat guy and a skinny, brilliant guy.
Yeah, well, I appreciated it. Thank you very much. No problem. I had no problem watching this movie more than a few times. You must have been really impressed too with the guy's abilities, the fighting and everything that they had to put out in this movie.
Well, by the way, the pair of them are very physical, and Conan Doyle had them as both very physical individuals from the books. Sherlock Holmes was really the first Western martial artist, and Watson was a war hero. So that only I mean, this is great. This is great grounds for a movie, right? You have intellect, and you have physical martial ability. It just seems like a perfect recipe for a contemporary movie.
Yeah. Did you ever get in on any of the fights? I know you like to do your jiu-jitsu. Did they slap you around a little bit?
Robert would like to think that he slapped me around a bit, and I like to think that I slapped him around a bit. But I've got to say, Rob, he's a physical lad, and he carries less body fat than I do, which I'm quite jealous about.
You look perfectly fine, Mr. Ritchie. So there's no doubt in my mind that this is going to continue on for sure. I mean, it's brilliant. It really is fantastic. Do you think about that franchise? What am I going to do? I'm going to stick with this. I know it's hard to predict, but how do you feel about sticking with this character for?
Well, all as I know is that I really enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed working with Warner Brothers. I didn't get that the cliche of a sort of independent filmmaker working for a studio and tear his hair out, although it looks like I've teared my hair out. No, they were very encouraging, and they were very encouraging of a sort of filmmaker's approach toward this movie. So I don't believe I've really had an argument with anyone along this journey. So who knows where it will go from here, but it was a great deal of fun getting it to this point anyway.
Well, it's a great deal of fun to watch. It really is, and you've really outdone yourself with this, and I'm a big fan of your films, and this one really tops it. Thank you so much. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
When did you see it? Last night?